Well, hello out there, friends in Google Plus land. It is the Focus on Google Plus Communities show. At least that's what we're doing right now. What do we know after 2 weeks? This thing's been up and running after 2 weeks. This is cool stuff. Click right up there. After the show, I'll put in some clickable annotations so you can go watch parts 1, 2, 3, and this one, which is number 4. And what we've got today is we're going to try to focus a little bit on some of the stuff we've learned, some of the new stuff that's come out over these last 2 weeks about the community tool, as well as we're going to focus right in on the private community aspect, because we haven't really touched that much up until now. So that's sort of the major theme of the show. We're going to try to keep it between 20-30 minutes long, and we're going to be looking for the comments in the stream, so please put them out there. We'll try to incorporate them into the show. But I just want to do a quick reminder of who's involved here. I'm Ronnie Bincer, hi. And then we've got Jesse Wedillo. That's how you say it, Wedillo.
That's correct.
He's the man. Next to him, we've got Nicole Murphy. Nicole Murphy here. And as a special guest today, we have Jairus J.C. Miller. And she is here to help us get another perspective from her angle as to what's going on with Google Plus communities. And Jairus, please feel free to introduce yourself and then tell us what's going on.
Okay, thank you, Ronnie. Lovely to be here, lovely to see everyone out there. My name is Jairus J.C. Miller, and I am a G+ beta tester. I actually did the first Google Plus integration into a TED event, which went on to TED Global, and did the first G+ Hangout broadcast from mainland China. So I'm here to talk about communities, and yesterday the community I want to focus on is this particular segment is on private communities, and I have an excellent use case for that, which is yesterday I had the opportunity to participate in LiveStrong.com's Hangout session, and that is an excellent use case for a private community. The reason being is that although LiveStrong.com is open as a health and fitness vehicle, and they have amazing programs over there, I happen to be a member of that particular organization, but they also have a subset of their constituency who is dealing with cancer. So although LiveStrong.com is primarily geared towards health and fitness and tracking your weight and fitness goals and nutrition goals, etc., they do have a really a robust constituency of people who are battling cancer and who are cancer survivors. And that is an excellent example of a good pairing for a private community.
Yeah, because you wouldn't necessarily want all the discussions that are going on inside that community to be visible to everybody, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. This is we are in a place where there are certain kinds of communities that really could be afforded privacy. Certainly the medical community is ripe to take to participate and leverage what's happening in the Google Plus community and create private communities for specific topic areas. That's the one thing that I felt is a good match. So past that, another private community that I'm also participating in is Girl Talk. And that is also a private community, and that was developed for women-only conversations, which was very interesting as well. I think some people have said that maybe women aren't as free when there's a bunch of guys in there. They can't talk about everything they want to talk about. So those are two examples. One was a women's only community. But I'd like to counter that with last night I had the opportunity to go to a live event for Seattle Social Men, which is a men's only community, which they would also have an opportunity to talk amongst themselves privately. So.
Yeah, I am only a member of one private community, and it's my little addiction that I like to call Ingress.
Oh, you're the Ingress dude. Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Good for
So
you.
anyway, there's obviously two sides to Ingress. There's two battling back and forth. So this is very important. We have little not copyright, but we say things, do not share this with other communities because it's really getting popular where people are trying to infiltrate each other and where is this group of Ingress people going, where are they going? And it is really interesting to see. I mean, there's only like 25 of us in the local area, in the Raleigh-Durham area, but
Nice.
there are Ingress community pages for every major city, and they're all private. And you have to prove which side you're on before you can get into the community.
So are you enlightened or are you resistance?
I am in the resistance, and let me tell you, after this weekend, it's over for the enlightened. We already dominated Chapel Hill, but I am taking a little trip. It's in my private community, the trip we're planning.
Oh, that's interesting. So that's working well for you, eh?
Yeah, well, the only problem I have, and Ronnie has seen this, when you plus somebody into a conversation in a community, it doesn't go to the mobile as a notification at this point. And with Ingress, you're moving constantly. So what we've had to do is we open up the Messenger tool with the Google Plus app. And that's the only, when we're out and about, that's the only way. We can't communicate via the community because we have to just keep refreshing, and we don't get the notifications. Notifications are still kind of iffy, and I don't know if that's just private or public, but I think it's both, where you plus somebody into a conversation, you hope they get notified on their mobile as well, and it's just not happening. And you're standing in the middle of downtown waiting for somebody, and you're like, I messaged him and he's not responding. So
what are you doing? Okay, so that's a very good point, which is that a lot of these tools that we're using are first generation tools, obviously brand spanking new tools. So what are you finding in terms of wonkiness in the private community besides the messaging thing? What other experiences are you having that you think could be refined?
I got one. I'm back, right? I mean, I disappeared for a while.
Yeah,
In fact,
we're
unfortunately, I disappeared, and that meant the Hangout disappeared. So even though, guys, you were having fun chatting on during the time I was gone, it was down. Okay, so no one was able to watch it during that time. So if you said some incredibly brilliant things while I wasn't here, you might want to repeat them shortly. Okay. But picking up on that part of the conversation. I'm just trying to make sure everything's muted here, right? Okay. Yes. So what I'm finding a little bit wonky is the Hangouts. There's a thing within communities, public and private, that's called Start a Hangout, and this is really cool, especially for smaller communities. You just hit a button and everybody inside the entire community is invited. I kind of like that, but I also don't like that when it's a really big community because it automatically invites everybody in the entire community. Yeah. And so it could get a little bit weird because it's only going to be able to handle 10 people and all these people were invited, that kind of thing. But here's something to put up for a vote. And I'm going to do some posts out there so people maybe can interact with that vote. If you're inside a private community, because they're focused on private today, if we're inside a private community and you start a Hangout, right now the way it stands, everybody within that private community is automatically invited, which is great. That's perfect. However, anybody inside that Hangout can then invite anybody else into that community's Hangout. Now, you might like that. For example, you want to bring in a special guest to talk to your private community, or you might not like that because you might not want to expose yourself as being part of that community to people from the outside. So the question is, what do you think? Do you think that's good, or do you think it's not so good, or how would you like to deal with that? I would sort of throw that out there to the world.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, Nicole, jump in there.
I do not like that option because most of the private communities that I am a part of are for my event management and for company management. And so I don't need somebody inviting somebody into what we're talking about an event or pre-event stuff. So no, I do not want that. If it's a private community, it should only be the people that are in the community that can participate and invite. Just like when you're in a private community, you can't plus somebody into that post if you like. So yeah, no.
I agree. Well, actually, I could see it in both situations, and again, I'm kind of using Livestrong.com as my use case for this kind of privacy. So you could have your private community, and you're talking, and then you want to invite in a specialist to address a specific topic. So I can see a use case for having the functionality of opening it to a wider paradigm. However, like you, my instinct is if I'm in a private community, I don't want to have this information out on YouTube at large.
Well, we realize it's not going to go on YouTube. This is regular Hangouts. They're not going to be broadcast.
Okay, right.
But
okay.
Just the concept of even letting somebody in that's not part of that community into the Hangout as easily as you can do now, I have a few reservations. But Jesse, do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't like it either. I think, especially with Ingress. I mean, a perfect example is, somebody infilled. I know this is silly, and we're all adults here, but if somebody from the Enlightened comes and infiltrates a Hangout, they can invite they could invite 5 other people into our conversation, and we wouldn't know. I mean, they could completely hack the community, and I mean, there's no way to tell who's Enlightened and who's Resistance till you get outside and play the game. So I could be sitting here talking to you. You could tell me you're Resistance, and then I could go to the event tonight, and you're blowing up all my portals.
I lied. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Right. Enlightenment.
Yeah. So here's what I would propose, and it's easy for me because I'm not the programmer, right? I can just say make this happen and push the button, and it's done. But what I would propose is either a owner or moderator level control of saying, yes, we want this particular Hangout or all Hangouts within this community to be, let the public be invited or not. And I don't mean public as in the public circle, but I mean anybody outside. Or let's put it this way, let non-members invite non-members capable to invite non-members. I had it written down somewhere and it made sense. It was real simple.
I disagree with that because everyone in the community can go ahead and start a Hangout. If it was only the moderator that could start a Hangout within a community, then I would say yes on that. That's
what I was saying as a what's called the community level admin thing. I either check a box as an admin of the community.
Right. So you're actually putting in a layer of control, which needs to happen within a private community, and as part of that, a notification to the rest of the community members, so they're getting notified that somebody else is being invited to come in.
Right. But the fancier we get with this, the longer it's going to take for them to decide what to do. So I'm proposing the idea that they give us an option. So whether we can, for our own private community, make it invitable to non-members or not, and then how we deal with that, we'll sort of mush it out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that's sort of my issue, my wonkiness issue about the private community thing. Anybody else got their experiences?
I just wanted to ask a question more than a wonkiness. Is anybody else seeing that the level of interaction is different within that private community than on the public? To me, it's a lot more short. We're not bolding words as much. We're not italicizing. We're not throwing pictures in every post. It's almost a little more like Facebook and Twitter where you just say, hey, I'm downtown, come visit. I would never do that in my public stream. I always have my bold title. I always have my picture, my YouTube video. I always have a couple, links in there. Within these private communities, I'm seeing that it's more of just personal, few people just jotting stuff back and forth. Are you guys seeing that across the board too?
Actually, yes. Yeah, actually, that's a good observation. In the G+ broadcast community, there's a lot of just short and sweet stuff going on in there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of link sharing, certainly a lot of content, a lot of link sharing, but there's also just a lot of, hey, da-da-da-da.
Sure. Well, if you think about it, you're in that private community, and ultimately, eventually, people know you there, and you don't have to do any more.
Exactly.
There's no setup.
There's no setup, right? You don't have to say who you are or why you're there. Right. You're sort of already understood there.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you guys, when I was gone, were you talking about just Ingress, or what were you talking about?
Now he wants to know.
Anyways, here's the deal. Something new came out during this last week. I just want to bring it to everyone's attention, and it has to do with the ability for the owner or moderator, I think it's for both owner and moderator, to allow a poster or an author of a post within a community to, in essence, promote them to be a moderator with a simple click of a button. Instead of having to dig through the back-end admin stuff and go through the full list of everybody that's in the community, you can actually just go to a post, say, Jesse wrote something cool, he's in my community, but I didn't have him as a moderator, but I really like him and I wanted to elevate him or promote him. I can just choose to drop down now on his post and say, promote to be moderator, and boom, it's done. And so apparently that was a big request for larger communities. It didn't make sense to me for a smaller one because I can go through the list of people and say, you're a moderator, boom, you're done. Yeah. But if it's a large community, this starts to make a lot more sense.
Yes, especially for some of the communities who already have like 4,000 and 5,000 members.
Yeah, right.
I agree. I mean, across the board in my bigger communities that I've created, I see that a lot of people come on there and it's a learning process. A lot of them are coming from Facebook and Twitter and they're just saying, you know, they don't understand how to use Google+. They're just jibber-jabbering. And then you have one or two every now and then that you're like, wow, that guy or that woman really knows how to use Google+. And, you know, it's few and far between sometimes. So I've actually done that in a couple of my sports communities where a couple guys did a long analysis with bolding and italicizing and good pictures and links and GOO.GLs. And I was like, well, obviously this guy knows, he's a Google+ expert, whereas some of the other people are just there learning the process. So I like the feature a lot.
Very cool.
Yeah, what I found is that with the opening of the private communities, a lot more people are open to going over and trying it out. Where they'll this is a great stepping stone. I've been able to pull in a lot of people. I'm doing a lot of education behind it, but that's fine because these people are now saying, okay, well, I'll try it here, teach me how to do this. They kind of get their feet wet within this private community, and then I'm seeing them start to step out into the public space, which is really, really exciting.
That's why I'm really happy that you and Ronnie are doing these doing this series of hangouts, because it's not only education, but Ronnie and I've talked about this before in the past, and now you're involved in this conversation, is the breadcrumbing from beginning level hangcasters to mid-level hangcasters to high-end hangcasters that have high production value. And as you said, Nicole, how are you going to learn those skills? How are you going to test this stuff out?
Mm-hmm.
Where are you going to do that?
Let me throw in a tactical thing that I've sort of learned, besides just the philosophical things that we're learning. There's something new that I've sort of discovered. I'm sure other people have as well. I'm not saying I've figured it out. Okay?
Right.
I just learned that it works, and I'm needing to get more more disclaimers in what I say nowadays. And what it is the ability to post is it's different when you're talking about posting from your profile or from your page into the community, and there's some different controls. And here's one control that I sort of figured out by accident and then verified, and it does work really well, is if I need to plus mention somebody's name, I can do that in the post, and then it automatically sticks it down into the address area, but then it also allows me to post that to the community. Now, it doesn't seem like it allows you to, but because it gives you a warning, it says you can't do it. Well, I say, well, I sure think I can, so I click anyways, and it works. So there's a thing that's called replace. If you're going to post to your community and you plus mention somebody's name in that post, or names in that post, and then you send it, it'll warn you and say you can't do that. You can't post to community and other places. Yes. But if you hit the button that says replace, it says, okay, and then it sends it to the community and plus mentions those people.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Little tips from the guys that just push the buttons anyways.
We love that.
Like, oh my gosh, look at this. And Ronnie's like, I know.
That's great. Just something for me to go test out on my list of things to do.
Now, that might have been a little bit nerdy, but if you need to, you can check my stream. I've already posted about the concept of how you do that. But to me, it makes sense, right? I mean, it makes sense when you're trying to call somebody out.
It's very handy, yes.
Yeah. And this is another, and we talked about just a little bit, one that's part of the wonkiness is we still can mention people that are not in the community They'll still get pinged, but they can't go comment on that post until they join.
Right, but not somebody that's, if it's a private community, you cannot plus mention somebody that is not in that private community.
Very true. Yes. Yeah. So it's all public, private, combo, things like that. Yeah. So what do you guys think? I've got an interesting use case, but I want to get from you guys what you think is a good use case besides, say, the Livestrong community. What are some other ideas? And Ingress, right? I'm sure you talked about that. And sports. Okay, so give us some ideas for private communities. What do you think are some good ones to try out?
I think Nicole just mentioned it. Any kind of education scenario where you want to work with a very small group and you want to habituate them and actually maybe have I hate to say the word control, which is an anathema in our world, but you you want to actually
without that level of control, there's a lot of people that don't want to do this. I mean, they're going to say this community is going to get out of hand. It's going to be crazy. I need that control. So we have some control as moderator.
Yeah, right? yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but Nicole, I think she needs to expound on that because that's perfect for educational scenarios. It's perfect.
Well, the way I found this out was I am an organizational maniac. And so immediately when I realized, when I learned about private communities, I started creating communities for every single event that I have. So we gather all of the vendors together, and it's been so helpful for the vendors that...
When you say event, do you mean a Google Plus event?
Like a live event. So what Talking Moose Media does is we broadcast events, and so I have started creating private...
In real life, right?
In real life. We broadcast your real life events through social media. And so I started creating communities for every event, and now it's really helping the vendors that we overlap with all these different events. It's so helpful. So we go into this one spot in this one space. We talk about that. We jump somewhere else. Everything's categorized. It's so nice. All of our contact information for that day of is over there. So that's been really great. And that's one of the places where I saw people finally say, "Okay, let me go check it out." When I was explaining that it's private, X, Y, and Z about that. And then I created one. We have a lot of subcontractors that we work with. And so I created a private community for our company. And it's kind of like, it's created almost like a water cooler effect because I don't have an office where, my 10 employees are in here every day. And so we've been able to pop in and out and chat with things and throw things out there and say, and so it's been really, really, really nice. And people are already, sending me all their blackout dates. I can't work here, I can't work there.
Nice.
Yeah, and then the last one, which I think... I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I love the fact that you're actually using it as a work stream tool. I think that's genius. That's awesome.
Thank you. I was very, very close to developing software like this. I was like, that's it. I'm going to have to design it myself. And I'm glad I waited because...
Well, there's another comment out there in the stream right now. I'm looking at the comments. Someone from Australia, I think it's Nathan, is saying that personal trainers and fitness professionals be a great use case for it. Mm-hmm. They want to network between their professionals and the governing bodies, things that are they don't necessarily in the public, but that are within a certain literally community of professionals.
Oh yeah,
I've got another one too. In a former life, I was a retail manager. We won't speak of that, but in a lot of retail management, there are 20, 30 stores in a district, and a district can be anywhere from 30 miles. In circumference to 300 miles. And when I was a retail manager, we would literally email back and forth ideas for, what end stand to put candy canes on and, what we saw other stores doing. And it just became this long, terrible email where names were all over the place and nobody knew what was going on. And if you could get, and once again, the exclusivity of just managers, or assistant managers that can go onto this community and say, hey, this is the CVS or this is the target community of managers in the Raleigh district. throw out your ideas. What are you doing? And the picture aspect. I mean, can you imagine the pictures you could throw on there? Let me tell you, emailing through a corporate email service, you're not putting pictures on there. I hate to break it to you. It's just terrible. So I think retail management and just retail in general could truly benefit by getting their employees on here.
Well, and I can't even tell you how many times I am talking to a client and I explain that we broadcast live in-person events online, and they say, "That's great. Can we do that privately?" And I'm like, "Well, sure." So now we can. This is something that we can create a community for that company party and
right.
let them have at it.
It's relatively simple to set these things up. So you could make them, in my mind, what I say disposable. You could have it for a certain situation, maybe a time-specific thing, and then it goes away. Not necessarily keep it there. Hey, we're running up on our time limit shortly. Someone had in the stream was asking questions about mobile and the community. We said we might try to touch on that.
Yeah.
They've improved that recently. They're saying that they're having a hard time sharing something from the feed into the community. I believe that's been changed, and now that works properly with the latest update, which happened, I think, the Friday the 14th.
I haven't had any problems
December.
with that.
Well, so anyways, then there's one other making a comment, just saying using them for private communities or NPO board of director meetings. Basically anything that you need to gather people together for, but you don't want it to be publicly visible. I think this is a phenomenal tool for that, the private community option.
Yeah, absolutely.
So because we're up on the end of the time, Jairus, are you going to turn on your lower third at all, or are you just going to go to the end without it? I mean, your call.
I tried to do that, but I've got a wonky connection. I know you and I had wonky connections today. Yeah. So
there's a blizzard going on here. I'm in Colorado, and we're getting snow today. It's actually winter today.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yes.
Well, let me see. Yeah, I'm not going to waste time to do that.
Right. Why don't we do this running down the end? We'll start with Jairus, go to Jesse, and then Nicole, and I'll end it up if you don't mind.
Okay, great. So Jairus J.C. Miller, and the community that I lead is called Lifestyle 2.0, and that's it. Dakini Free Media. I missed that part.
Join her community. Don't join mine. No, I'm just kidding. I am a sports guy. Anything college. If you just search college football, college basketball, golf, anything like that, my community will be up there. You'll see it. We'll have plenty of interaction. One thing I would suggest to everybody, the more involvement you can get out of your community, the more fun it's going to be. Joining these communities and seeing nothing going on. If you're the moderator, you're the creator, act as a teacher, act as a professor. I do tips on how to bold. I did a tip yesterday for Google Plus College Football Community, how to bold a title. And 10 people, wow, I didn't know how to do that. So just reach out to your community members. They don't all know Google Plus as well as we do, I think.
All right, Nicole.
All right. So I'm Nicole Murphy with Talking Moose Media, and my community is Hangouts on Air for events, and it's specifically geared towards when you have to run a hangout from a bar or out on the streets, and it's just mobile location. So it's completely different beast than sitting in your nice comfy studio trying to run the hangout. So
yeah.
All right. Cool. I'm Ronnie Bincer. I do Hangout stuff. I'm a Hangout helper. I do a lot in YouTube. In fact, I'm going to take this Hangout and fix it because it has this little chunk of stuff in the middle that says "Sorry, we'll be right back," and I'm going to edit that out and then upload it again. So there will be slightly different links after the show because I need to try to fix this up that way. Just so you guys know, we're going to take next week off because it's the day after Christmas. It's the 26th. But we're planning on doing this on a weekly basis on every Wednesday. At least that's the current plan. And you can click right up here to find the links to all the previous shows, or at least some of them. And that'll get you going inside the Google Plus community discussions. And we will, because the communities are still new, they're still developing, we're going to be doing what we can to just talk about what we're seeing in the interaction between them and all of us outside the community world that we're not actually the programmers. So thank you very much, guys, for showing up. And sorry about the little techie difficulties, but That's part of what we got.
It's communities.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys
Good to see
later.
you both. We'll chat with y'all later. Lovely to meet you in person, Jesse.
Bye, all.
Bye.